Rooted in Leadership, Lesson number 10, Sleep, Recovery, and Self-Care. Hello and welcome. It's Natalie Peterson here, your instructor for this course. And in today's lesson, we are going to be talking about how to take care of ourselves, why it's so important, what our bodies need to recover from, and the best way to make sure that our bodies get a full recovery, and that is through sleep. And starting off with the first quote you see here on the screen from Benjamin Franklin: "Do not anticipate trouble or worry about what may never happen. Stay in the sunlight." So one of the topics today that we're going to be exploring as it comes to recovery, self-care, and sleep is stress, and how stress and worry about things that may or may not happen in the future do not help us to take care of ourselves. And a lot of the times we're worrying about things that most likely will never happen. And so when we think about stress, when we think about things that we worry about, Benjamin Franklin's advice is to not worry about those things as best we can, and to instead stay in the light, stay in the sunlight. So I first want to talk about stress. And all of us during our lives experience stress in one way or another. And stress can be good and bad. A little bit of stress on the body, a little bit of extra work actually helps to stimulate the systems of the body, where too much stress can really do harmful things to the nervous system, to our muscular system, our everything from our head to our toes, from the very depths of our cells on out to our physical self. So when you think about stress and asking yourself, do you ever find yourself getting overloaded with schoolwork or outside expectations? That feeling of being overloaded or overwhelmed is usually manifesting its way as a stress response. Stress is an emotion that results when we are put in certain situations that challenge us or set certain expectations. And the events that cause these stress episodes are usually known as stressors. And they can cover anything from a test in class to a serious family emergency. So it can be something as little as trying to make sure that you're out the door on time to get to school because you've got a lot going on. You're scrambling in the morning. It makes your heart rate quicken, makes you feel a little bit scattered, all the way to some personal things that you have going on that really weigh on you day in and day out, and maybe don't cause the same kind of frantic mood as something like missing the bus or being late for class, but instead may manifest itself in other ways. And usually the bigger the stressor, the more you feel the stress response, and the more you see some of the stress response being cultivated in different areas of your life. It's not something that just goes away once you've made the bell on time. The bigger the stressor, usually the longer it may take to figure out how to solve the problem, and then therefore the more difficult it is to ease that worry. And the reason that I want to talk about stress today is that stress has so many effects on you, both your mind and your body, and it can come out in so many different ways. As you see on the screen and on your worksheet, increased stress and stress over long periods of time, levels of stress that are detrimental to our body, can result in difficulty sleeping, difficulty focusing in class, when you're with family, when you're with friends, you might feel a little bit more withdrawn. Stress can increase irritability. If you just feel like you really can't get along with people, or your things are making you angry, where the same kinds of situations wouldn't have had that effect before. It can also be cultivated in actual physical ailments, such as headaches, stomach aches. In some instances, for some people, they experience chest pain that's related to stress. Of course, we've all experienced kind of that increased heart rate or sweating when we're, nervous about something or trying to get somewhere on time and we're rushed. And not only is the increased physical activity causing the sweating, causing the increased heart rate, but also just our emotions and nervousness around the situation can cause sweating as a result of stress as well. Some people will experience anxiety attacks or panic attacks, anxiety that maybe keeps you up at night or makes it so that you have a difficult time in social situations or dealing with the same kinds of things that were easy for you in the past, all the way down to the spectrum of panic attacks, where that is can be much more intense on a physical level. Where with a panic attack, from my understanding, is you don't feel control of your own body, of your own just mind even, and it can get very scary. And so, like we talked about before, with the idea of self-esteem and body image, things like that, stress, if it's having a very high effect, a very serious effect on you, that you don't have to go through that alone. To talk to someone, reach out to someone who can help you through this, and that if you're experiencing any of these symptoms, that it's something that a lot of people go through, and there's a lot of really good resources to help deal with it. Stress affects the mind and the body, can result in sadness or depression. It's over a long period of time where you just feel withdrawn and it's hard to get motivated to do things, hard to get excited about things. And this is all the effects of worry and stress and how they can play out in your life. And for some people, stress can result in overeating, being an emotional stress eater, kind of going for things like ice cream or cookies or chips or candy, things like that, to kind of stuff down the emotions so you don't have to face them head on, or it kind of helps you to just clear your mind and relax a little bit. Some people turn to drinking alcohol and doing drugs as well as a result of stress, to kind of escape whatever it is that is causing the stress response. And so, as I've been speaking now, I'm sure that some things have maybe come to mind, but just consider for a moment, what are the things in your life that bring you stress or worry? What are the things in your life that bring you stress or worry? And I'm going to give you 3 minutes now to answer those questions on your worksheet. The second one being, what are the ways that you deal with your stress or worries? Go ahead and begin. The lesson will resume in 3 minutes. All right, go ahead and put your pencils down. We'll do a little bit more work with the idea of what brings us stress and how can we combat it a little later in the lesson. But I do want to give you some tips and tools for how to deal with stress. And this idea of dealing with stress, and also I like to think of it as helping to build your resilience, your ability to withstand, to endure. Throughout your life, you will continuously be met with stressors. That will not go away. And like I said, a certain amount of stress is okay and even good in some ways hormonally for the body. Too much stress that is not properly dealt with is when we get some of those ailments that we described a couple slides back. But dealing with stress, there are several ways, as you'll see on the screen. First one being exercise. Now, I want to note too that exercise sometimes can bring additional stress onto the body if we are in a state of being run down, overstressed. And so listen to what your body is telling you if you are feeling so beat up and so run down from a lot of exercise. Maybe exercising more is not what you need, but in fact, something a little bit more soothing, as we'll see here. But especially for a mood enhancer, exercise is wonderful. Getting your heart rate up, getting the blood pumping to your muscles, just fresh oxygen being sent through all your cells. The endorphins that are released help to just uplift any mood. Spending time in nature. There have been studies done that have linked the increase in overall feeling of well-being and happiness when you get outside and you're just closer to the earth, whether it's, in the woods or by a lake or at the ocean, on a trail somewhere. Spending time in nature, breathing in fresh air is an excellent way to deal with stress, getting away from the demands of the day-to-day. Talk to someone you trust. A lot of times when we get stressed out, we keep everything bottled up and inside and try to deal with everything on our own, when we all have those people in our lives that always make us feel better, who can give us some good advice. And talking to someone that you trust helps you get rid of some of the burden that you're carrying from the stress and gets things out in the open so you can start to find out how to heal and how to deal with whatever it is that's going on in your life. Get a good night's sleep. We will talk a little bit more about sleep in just a couple of minutes, but getting a good night's sleep, there's few things that a good night's sleep cannot heal. Our body's recovery happens at night while we're sleeping, and that includes easing of worry and stress. Keep a journal. If you are having a problem or situation where you're not comfortable yet talking with someone, writing about it, getting your thoughts out on paper can help not only to get things off your chest, but I find when I journal, it helps create some clarity, helps me find solutions for problems that within my own head, I'm not able to solve. But once I get pen to paper, things just start to pour out of you that you weren't even aware were there in the first place. Spend time disconnected from technology. This is one that is so important for everybody, to turn your phone off, walk away from the computer, turn off the alerts on your telephone, and just spend some time with yourself. It is a way that you can find quiet and find peace. It slows down your pace and allows you to hear whatever messages you might be missing when you are constantly being pulled into a screen. Next up, eat a healthy diet. A lot of us know how much food affects how we feel physically. Food has been directly linked with our emotional well-being as well. The way sugar affects our mood, the way processed carbohydrates and other processed forms of food, they directly play with and mess with our natural hormonal state. And when that happens, we are not able to as effectively deal with stress. So keeping our food clean and healthy, whole real foods, eating natural or foods with natural ingredients from the earth or from an animal, not something that was a science experiment in someone's lab. Make sure that you're managing your time wisely. A lot of times when it comes to work overload, that is the main stress in your life. Take a look at how you're spending your time. Where are the wasted hours? Where can you build in a little bit more time to be productive so that you won't end the day in stress? Carve out some time to spend away from the TV and carve out 45 to 60-minute time blocks to get work done, and you'll be amazed at how much more space seems to be freed up in your life. Revisit your goals and priorities. So, a lot of times we look and we feel like we have so many things to do and so little time to do it. But for me, I know if I look at my list of things to do, I can kind of zone back in and get dialed in with what is most important and some of the little stuff that maybe is clouding my thoughts or making me feel like I have a lot of pressure on me. I can clear away some of the things that aren't priority or aren't too important. And it also helps you realign with the greater good, the purpose of all this, the purpose of maybe the stress that you're under. It's important to know what's causing the stress. So to sit in a little bit of contemplative silence and consider, why am I feeling like this emotionally? Why am I feeling scattered or withdrawn or sad or just like I can't settle down? Take a few deep breaths and try to pinpoint what it is that is causing the problem. And chances are that you will be able to find a solution. Avoid the people and the situations that stress you out. Throughout your life, you are going to encounter what I like to call energy vampires. They are the people that suck the life right out of you or bring you down immediately. You know who they are. And if you are an energy vampire, I highly encourage you to rectify that and be a person that builds someone up, that lightens a load, and not one that just dumps negativity and stress all over people. So if there are people in your life that are causing you to make bad decisions or bring about a lot of stress, spend a little less time with them and avoid the situations that you know increase your stress levels. Be willing to compromise, understand and be adaptable, and know that sometimes you're not going to get your way. That is going to be a theme that's going to be recurring throughout your lifetime, that there are just situations that you have to accept and move on. And in that same token, focus on what you are grateful for. So even if you're in a situation that's less than ideal, I bet you every single one of you can list out 10 to 20 things right off the top of your head that you are grateful for. Listen to mood lifting music. All of us have specific mood or music genres that affect us positively. They may not all be the same, but we all know we can throw on our favorite song and instantly feel just a little bit better, whether it's the nostalgia or whether it's the beat of the music or the beauty in the melody. Listening to music can help take away some of the pain we may be feeling in the moment. Spend time with a friend. Your best friends are always going to help ease the stress, ease the worry. Just a good laugh, a good conversation with a friend, even if it's not sharing with them about what's going on in your life, maybe you just want them to talk about what's going on with them. So you stop thinking about you. Spend time with someone you care about. Reduce your caffeine and sugar intake. Caffeine and sugar are stimulants. They are going to amp you up. And one of the symptoms of stress is feeling amped up, is feeling stimulated, overstimulated. So if you have troubles sleeping or if you are experiencing any anxiety that's doesn't seem to be subsiding, take a look at any of your coffee drinking habits or your soda intake, anything with caffeine in it, and certainly sugar, which is going to cause us to rise up and then crash hard. Reducing caffeine and sugar intake will help you to be able to stay calm and deal with stressors as they come. And lastly, setting boundaries to protect your energy. There is always a lot going on around us, people pulling at us from all directions, and it is okay to say no. It is okay to say that you can't take something else on, or that you can't make it to a certain event, or you can't help out on a certain project. Know how much you can and cannot handle, and that will help deal with any stress of being overbooked and overcommitted. And for the next 30 seconds or so, just consider that list and circle maybe 2 or 3 that you think you might need to start implementing into your life in order to help you better deal with stressful situations. Just take a couple of moments. All right. So now we are moving on to talking about sleep and recovery. As I mentioned, one of the ways to deal with stress is to get a good night's sleep. And one of the reasons is that, the average teenager needs between 8 and 9 hours of sleep a night. So if you're feeling really stressed out and you feel like you've got a lot of anxiety and a lot of pressure, how many hours of sleep are you getting? If it's less than 8 or 9, that might be a simple fix for you right there. And sleep is so important for the growth and development of your body. It is the time during the day or during each 24-hour cycle that our body can build, can recover, can heal itself. And without spending that time in that recovery mode, our ability to focus and perform on a day-to-day basis will dwindle. So sleep and recovery will help you do better in school. It'll help you get along better with others. It helps you increase creativity, whether it's, through writing, through creating art, through your athletic abilities. It inspires the muse, the creative force within you when you're sleeping and recovering and basically recharging your batteries. And it's what helps keep your body healthy and strong. And lack of sleep, not only does it, not allow you to focus the way you need to focus, it makes you grumpy, makes you irritable, maybe gives you headaches, makes you feel unmotivated, but it also diminishes your physical athletic performance as well. So on your worksheet, just fill in here, how many hours of sleep do you get per night? And if you get less than 8 hours of sleep on a regular basis, it is very important that you work up to that full 8 hours. So I challenge you, if you are someone who gets less than 8 hours of sleep, try going to bed tonight just 10 to 15 minutes earlier than the night before. And work up in small increments. You can start with 5 minutes, 10 minutes, 15 minutes, and just try to attack this little by little until you're reaching that full 8 hours of sleep. A few tips for getting to bed earlier. Turn off the TV, computers, and phone 30 minutes to 1 hour before bedtime. Just helps us to kind of wind down. The television, computers, our phones, everything that technology brings, while it is wonderful, it really can get our brain just overstimulated and make it really hard for us to shut down once it's time to go to bed. I think it's also helpful to set a bedtime each night. When you set an intention of when you're going to retire for the evening, your body knows that and it kind of plays around that time. You just subconsciously start to wind down as that hour draws closer. Finish eating and exercising 2 to 3 hours before going to sleep. So exercising, it is a stimulant, it's a mood lifter. It while it does fatigue your muscles, it activates other parts of the body. And with eating, once we eat food, our body goes into digestion mode, and it's really important that our body is able to focus on repair and recovery while we sleep and not on digestion. So if we're able to finish our meal 2 to 3 hours before bedtime, the nighttime hours can be spent on the key recovery mechanisms. Something that may help you is to journal about your day for a few minutes before going to sleep. Journal about any of your worries, anything you have to do the next day. Maybe make the next day's to-do list. It just gets it out of your head onto paper so you won't forget it, but allows you to just let it go for the evening. Try to only spend time in bed when it's time for bed. So try not to watch TV in bed, do a whole lot, talk on the phone, that sort of thing. It trains your body that the bed is for sleeping, and this helps you fall asleep faster. Try not to leave everything till the last minute, whether it's homework or chores or just the last minute things you have to prep. Try to plan out so that you can spend some time winding down before bed and you're not packing in 10 different things before you can retire for the evening. Participate in something calming before bedtime. Read a book, have a cup of tea, take a shower, take a bath, something that just lets you shut down. What is it that is soothing, relaxing to you? It's different for everybody. Avoid completely resetting your sleep schedule on the weekends. That one can be really, really challenging. But if on Friday nights and Saturday nights you stay up to 1, 2, 3 o'clock in the morning and then sleep in until 2 in the afternoon, it will be very difficult Sunday night to go to bed at a reasonable time to wake up after 8 hours of sleep. So it's helpful to not let those hours of sleep and wake time differ too much during the weekend when you can. And lastly, it seems simple, but it is one that a lot of folks struggle with is go to bed when you're tired. A lot of times we'll fight it and we'll like try to wait for our second wind to kick in. But when you're tired, take that as your first sign to just shut everything down and head to bed to get that full 8 to 9 hours of sleep. So now it is time to develop your self-care strategy. On your worksheet, you have some space. I want you to select 3 things that you can do to better take care of yourself mentally, physically, and emotionally. All of us are dealing with different things. Some of us have some mental stuff going on, maybe some self-confidence issues, some things that we want to work on that have to do with our mental processes. Some of us maybe are dealing with some physical ailments. Some of us maybe are wanting to take better care of ourselves by exercising or eating healthy. And then some of us are dealing with some emotional issues. And so all of these self-care techniques that I spoke about in terms of ways to deal with stress as well as how to get better sleep, you can select 3 things from those lists, or if you have something that you know will work for you, feel free to make it your own. But select 3 things that you can do to take better care of yourself. And then with each one, I want you to also write down when you will implement these into your life. So, for example, if you select that you are going to strive to get 8 hours of sleep each night, when are you going to attempt that? Are you going to attempt it tonight by going to bed 15 minutes earlier to start building up that process? If you select that you are going to eat healthy, I want you to write down when will you implement these into your life and start to consider how it's going to be done. Because it's really easy to select something that you're going to do. It's a little bit harder to then take the action to implement it, but let's all set the intention now of what and when we will do to take better care of ourselves. You have 5 minutes. All right, go ahead and wrap up whatever sentence you are on now. And carry these with you through the rest of your day in terms of the intentions that you're setting to take better care of yourself mentally, physically, and emotionally. And that brings us to the end of lesson 10, sleep, recovery, and self-care. Such an important piece of leadership, important piece of knowing who and what we are is to make sure that we take care of ourselves so that we have the energy, the motivation, and the intention to work and cultivate all of our faculties, all of our abilities, strengths, and talents. Until next time, thank you.